All right, we passed the midway point yesterday, so let's bring in some wise heads for some analysis. Joining me from Canberra, political editor of the Australian Financial Review, Phil Coorey, and our Monday night regular, Dennis Shanahan, national political editor of the Australian newspaper. Well, gentlemen, you got that there on camera. I call you wise heads, so I'm expecting some good analysis. I'll start with you, Dennis. He's had a week in the basement. Anthony Albanese's come out swinging a fair amount of rhetorical attacks yesterday on the Prime Minister and the Coalition. Let's have a listen.
I know I can count on Penny and Richard, Katie and Jim, and so many others to make the arguments for Labor. But who's he got? Alan Tudge and Peter Dutton. The unspeakable and the unthinkable.
Now, I've dealt with the home ownership policy announcement yesterday. Other than that, pretty policy light launch. I suspect the Liberals won't be much better, but this is a policy light campaign. But I thought that nastiness from Albanese yesterday wasn't the sort of thing that you'd see in a keynote speech at this point in a campaign from the bloke that wants to be PM. But you tell me what you think.
Well, I think clearly there was a great deal of time in the speech from Anthony Albanese spent on Scott Morrison. He did a great deal of talking about the Prime Minister. Now, this was the ALP campaign launch, and yet he talked a lot. Of course, it was, insulting and downgrading and so forth about Scott Morrison, but you would have thought that the Labor leader putting down his campaign speech would have concentrated a bit more on what Labor had to offer. But of course, the problem for Anthony Albanese was that he didn't have a great deal to offer. There was a great irony there, that there was Paul Keating, the great second half of the Hawke-Keating era of reform. And yet, when Anthony Albanese kept talking about the great things that Labor had introduced, the NDIS, Medicare, superannuation, all of these great policy initiatives, the biggest policy initiative he could come up with was an equity arrangement with 10,000 people's houses a year. It seemed to be extremely light, and everything that the government has done previously, particularly the PBS cut, Labor has matched. Today they've done the same thing with the the seniors card for older Australians. So what Labor is doing is keeping its small target. It's hoping that it can actually get in without a sizable shift in the electorate, just enough to get in over the line and win. It's a big risk, and there's still 3 weeks to go for Labor to be talking about not much else but Scott Morrison.